What about you?
I don't have any.
That's not true.
God
Come
has
on,
given
man.
everyone talent.
Yeah.
Come on.
You have not discovered them yet.
I've sat through this. No.
You know why I like that question? Because they're understanding that we actually do a lot
Burnout.
of work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are like, I'm not going to the
Yeah.
okay.
One time, the funeral directors actually called me and said, Buna, this family really wanted you for this funeral, and I couldn't do it. So they said the funeral director told me that the family told them like they're sitting and praying all day long.
I wish that was the case.
I was like, dude, I wish I was praying the rosary all day long, or just sitting and praying all day long. Like, wouldn't that be a dream to just?
Do I pray fast?
Can we talk about it?
I'm sorry.
Welcome
man.
to Father Petra.
Welcome, Father Patrick,
Father
man.
Patrick.
Thanks, guys. Happy to be here.
It's so good to have you with us.
Where are you
Our-
assigned right now?
I'm at St. Joseph in
Oh.
Troy.
That's
Living the dream.
Yeah.
Oh,
Yeah,
that's your
my
first
home parish.
assignment.
Yep, your
there?
home parish.
My home parish.
You know what?
And my first assignment.
Wow.
Father Andy, I'm not just saying this because I'm sitting with you. I cannot go to St. Joseph Parish without seeing you in my head somewhere
I'm
in that
so
church.
sorry to hear that.
No, it's the truth though, because
You were a kid
when
and
I was
he was a
seven-
priest
I was
there?
16, 17 years old. I was coming to the youth group at that time. And he was like, he was the real deal. He was the cool guy. You know what I mean?
Are you serious?
Yeah.
I remember you when you were in high school.
You
by the way.
remember?
I remember
you
very
remember
well.
That.
Really?
Remember doing the talent show? We
You
did a
did a
talent show.
talent show?
I
No.
did it. Yeah, I did the
Our
talent
youth group
show.
did a talent show.
Yeah, exactly.
This guy gets up and sings. Every
Nice.
girl in the room melts. They're just like we have to like mop them up. Like
That was great.
that's when you
No
were
way.
still available. Now it's like
Yes.
off limits.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but they're still
Wow.
melting.
I can't.
That's amazing, man.
I can't even picture you putting that together. By the way, no offense.
It was
did-
probably the leader. It was probably
Was it
the
your
leader.
idea?
It wasn't me.
No,
I don't think
it
it was
was
my
not.
idea.
No.
Did you do a talent?
Did I? I don't remember. I don't think so.
How would he
remember
do a
either.
talent?
I don't have
don't.
talents.
No, I'm joking.
I don't have talents.
Yeah, you do.
What? I put Legos together and play video games.
You don't have.
But you're
talents.
you're
You
really
write
good at that
books.
stuff.
Bro,
You write books.
Are you
That's a
virtue
talent.
signaling right
Not
now?
everybody writes books.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
could go
Writing
on and
books,
on.
I do write books.
You translate.
learning languages. Like who
Yeah.
takes Akkadian?
Yeah,
Who
That's
gets-
That
crazy.
was fun, man.
Who
I
gets
know.
a doctorate in a year?
Stop. No, 2 years. That's not a hobby.
No, but when
That's not a talent.
like your experience of having him as like because he was like the first
Yeah.
new
How's this
young
episode about me?
priest,
Wait,
you
let him
know,
finish.
because you're the
please.
core bishop. When he came also to San Diego from Michigan,
Yeah.
I remember that like my first memory, we had a Q&A with him, and I remember like being like, a priest plays video games? What?
I know.
A priest eats like In and Out or something. Like
Right.
priests are normal
Yeah,
guys.
I can't say my first impression of him on camera.
Okay.
We're gonna get a bunch of comments like, "I can't believe priests play video games. You guys are shameful.
Yeah.
How dare you? You guys
Yeah.
are
Yeah.
razala to the church."
sheep. You guys are all sheep.
Okay, no, let's get back to your question.
Yeah. So you said you pray fast, and
Yeah.
it actually connects with a question that we got on. We just posted a social media poll welcoming Father Patrick on our show, and we said, "What do you guys want us to talk about?" And somebody commented. They said, "Why are priests always in a rush?" Someone commented that. Isn't that funny? So
Yeah,
you wanna
Listen, when
talk
someone
about it?
someone has pointed that out to me that I'm always on the run, I'm always in a rush, things like that.
too.
So I purposefully started because I usually like doing a walking rosary, and I started to notice I'm like fast walking like crazy. So I'm like, okay, let me just take my time and give people, because sometimes unintentionally I don't give people the light of day when they're saying something and I'm going somewhere else.
Yeah.
Sometimes people don't have social awareness either. Like I have my hands full.
Yeah.
And some guys, hi Robbie, how are you?
That's the most annoying thing in the world.
Abuna, what is your thought on divorce? And we're like, wait. I have 20 books in my hand. You
No,
see me
please.
running. You know what I mean? Father, a very, very quick question. What is the church is teaching on divorce? I'm like, wait, what?
Yeah.
If it's church is teaching, at least that's something.
Or-
but it's like, what's your hot take on something that happened an hour ago?
Yeah, what do you think? Yeah, what do you think
I,
about
Pope
what
Francis,
Trump
I
did?
remember
I'm like,
yeah,
wait,
yeah.
dude, that's
what?
so funny.
I'm very much in a hurry all the time. Yesterday we had the first like Ramsha of Lent,
I'm sorry.
and we did the long petitions. We did the Lenten petitions.
Yes.
And I'm like, I want to do them because
Okay.
everybody just hauls through those.
Okay.
Like, it was so fast. I'm like, no, I did it. It wasn't slow. It was just paced, and I
Normal.
breathed, and I just wanted to set the tone.
Yeah.
And it ended exactly on time. So I just want, because everyone else feels like we have to get it done as fast as possible because they're a little bit longer and whatever. I'm not even talking about you. I'm talking about
No,
everybody.
it's fine.
Everyone who does it.
Adi. It's okay.
So just recently, somebody came up to me after the Surah Mass and they're like, Abuna ma, ma raza basima koda to I. بس خم ملاحظة أبونا
بس يعني بس
خمندي يعني خصة قاعدك مستعجلت. And I'm like, I wanted to like get defensive
defense right away.
And then I thought about it and I was like, you know what, they're right. Like when I really thought about it, I'm like, when I'm going through some of these prayers, some of the prayers I pray faster than others.
Yeah.
But you know, like I don't think we realize because we are going from one thing to another. And that's what, I mean, really that's the answer to the question is that people don't understand that every single one of, at least, you know, I think for most of us, our hours are already planned for the day.
Yeah.
You know, we are limited with everything.
And we're already late for the next thing.
And we're already late for the next thing. And then even in Mass, I don't think that like it's not good to say this, but because we're celebrating Mass every single day, it's like it becomes like second nature where we don't even realize that we're going fast anymore because we've done it so many times that it's like, you know what I mean? It's not.
That's why I really treasure when somebody actually has the courage to come to me and say, Father, it feels like you're trying to get this over with.
Yes.
And what somebody did that to me years ago, and I'll never forget it because he actually came and talked to me about it. 100 other people talk to each other, but not to me.
Yeah.
Wow.
And he actually made me aware because you're right, we don't notice.
We don't notice
Yeah.
it.
But they're all going to talk bad, and then there's going to be everyone's going to say, "Oh, Father Andy's in a hurry, and he's this and that." Nobody actually, one person came and said that to me.
Yeah.
And then once he said that, I'm like, oh.
Well, now I have actually self-awareness where like
Yeah,
while I'm
exactly.
celebrating the Mass,
Exactly.
I'm asking
You slow
myself
down.
like, hey, are you going fast or slow right now? Because to me, I'm not going fast, right? to maybe to them, they're seeing me as going fast. I don't see it. I
You
don't
know
have that
what doesn't
awareness.
work in my favor is knowing some sacramental theology, ex opere operato. Grace will work whether
It's valid.
Oh my gosh, why are
That's
you
the
saying
issue.
this?
I know.
Why are you saying this
It's my
to me?
weakness. I'm opening up.
Well, because the other day I did the epiclesis and I had no awareness that I did the epiclesis. All of a
Yeah.
sudden I saw myself putting perma and I was like, wait, did I actually call down the Holy Spirit or
Yeah.
not? No, I really blacked out.
It becomes
So-
this habitual
me too,
thing.
man.
Yeah. So
But virtual, what is it?
Intention.
Virtual intention is valid,
Virtual
yeah.
intention,
We- all this is canonical terms.
I would shake your hand right now, but it's too far.
No, but you guys got to do it, bro. Canon lawyers. How do you balance it, like with not going too slow and just being at a normal pace?
What I've
You
been telling myself is the way that a normal person normally talks. I talk fast sometimes, and sometimes I talk way too slow. But like an average, just average it out to the way normal people normally talk. That's the pace. That's what you're doing because you're talking. Similarly, I said this in the video that I did to present the book. Like I was like the prayer book, how to use it. And on that YouTube video, I said when you're starting an onitha, when you're starting like a hymn for everybody to sing with you, don't start too high or too low. And if you know that your vocal register is higher than other people, force yourself to go lower so others can sing with you. If you know your vocal register is low, be a little bit uncomfortable for the sake of the other people that are going to sing with you, go a little higher. And you have to know that. And if you don't know that about yourself, ask somebody like who knows about music.
You know what didn't work in my favor is starting in Chaldean Mass when I was a kid and being around Chaldean Shemasha. Everything is fast. You're
Loud.
screaming,
Loud.
chaos,
And high pitched usually.
high pitched.
Yeah.
It's just chaos.
and then that becomes learned behavior, right?
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
just think that that's normal behavior. You
that's
don't
all.
even-
That's all we
it's-
knew.
It's learned behavior. It's
Yeah.
normal.
Yeah, there's also the thing about, like, let's say, not to say anything bad about them, but some Orthodox masses are like 3 hours, right? So, and then some people say, oh, you guys are just making the mass shorter, and you're cutting short your worship of God. So, what do you guys think about
Can I
that?
mention something about that? So someone actually came up to me after a mass and he said, Abuna, I need to tell you about something. I said, okay, here we go. Because she looked very angry, visibly angry. So I said, yeah, what's going on? And she said, why is our mass so short? Look at the Coptic Orthodox masses. They take hours. We're just rushing. We want to get out of here. And I let her talk. And I said, okay, are we done? She said, yeah. I said, you were sitting in the first row, weren't you? She said, yeah, you saw me. I said, yeah. You know what's really interesting about your comment is right when I started my homily, or a few minutes in, I saw you falling asleep.
Nice.
Wow.
She's like, huh? طبعا أنا بزالي, you know, I'm gonna
That's the
go
thing,
and this that. It's not I get the idea of wanting that, but they don't. A lot of them don't understand. Also, is some of these liturgies combine their morning prayer with
the mass.
with
yeah.
the mass.
True.
Well,
You know.
I mean, I also don't think that they have as many things going on in their church as we do. You know, we have on average, we have 5 masses, weddings, and baptisms every single Sunday.
And how many
So
people
it's
attend those
not-
masses?
And each mass is full.
yeah.
Each mass is completely full. So what do? We do 2 masses and we cram all those people. You can't, you know. I mean,
Yeah.
you need to have at least, 3 masses on a Sunday for the 3 different languages,
Yep.
right? But we have 2 English masses on Sunday, and both of them are pretty full.
Do you have a late one?
Yeah, we have a 7 p.m. Yep.
That one's probably packed, right?
It gets very full. Yeah, especially the line for confession is really impressive. You know St. Joseph's Church, right? So you know where the confessional is. When you're standing in the altar, the confessional's all the way to the left. The line is now hitting the door all the way to the right. So it's wrapped
Not the
all
middle
the way
door.
around.
Not the middle door.
No, not the middle door. No, I'm talking about all the way around to the
Wow.
right-hand side
For confession.
for confession.
Wow.
You need somebody fast to get through those. Yeah, good handshake.
Yeah.
So who do you think
same
is
style.
faster?
Same
So,
style.
okay, I'm going to say something. I might totally scandalize you guys.
Scandalize.
And I might get yelled at because you guys are canon lawyers here. So, I
probably
don't know
gonna
what's
agree with
about
you.
to
no,
happen.
he's probably
but,
gonna.
I'm probably gonna agree with you.
but when it's a night like that, I don't have them say an act of contrition. I just absolve them.
It's
So I
valid,
give them-
Yeah,
technically.
you don't need that
Yeah.
for
Yeah.
the
It's
I know
technically
it
valid. Our act of contrition that we've been using here is one of the options in the Latin rite.
which is
Oh, God, have mercy on me, a sinner.
Yeah.
We
And I
did
just-
the exact same thing.
I have them repeat
So-
that after me.
yeah.
Well,
That is
the
an act
problem
of
is
contrition.
that if I tell them do the act of contrition, they're going to do the long version.
No. So
And
here's-
they're gonna
I-
breathe
and they
in
will not.
between.
Well, I asked them one time. I asked somebody. I said, "Hey, can you read the one that's on there?" He's like,
Yeah.
"My God, I'm sorry for my sins
Yeah.
with all my hair." I'm like, "I said the one on
So
the wall."
let me share Father Patrick's frustration. People think you're rushing me, dude. Somebody is not going to receive communion,
It's a big deal.
especially if the line
It's
is
a
like
big
that.
deal.
Because that act of contrition is as long as a full confession.
Correct. Correct. See, that's what I'm saying though. Is that like, to me, I'm trusting in God's mercy here, and I know that God understands the situation, right? And we now made a rule that confession ends right at after the final blessing. We get up, because the problem has now become is that we finished all of those confessions, and then a whole nother line starts at the end of mass. So the people that didn't want to go to confession, so then we're there for another 45 minutes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then sometimes we have things going on
That's
in the
good.
evening.
How many priests are you?
We're 3 priests, but it's between Father Fadi and myself.
Okay, English.
for the English part.
Yeah.
So
and the
the-
English is growing a lot. So
The way that we handle it is, I will hear I'll go to the confessional at the beginning of mass.
Yeah.
I'll hear confessions. When I'm done, I get up and leave.
yeah,
I don't like this. Well, I'm going to sit there. I'm going to get up when I feel like it. This isn't 7-Eleven.
no,
This is the time for confession. Once it's done, now if you're going to go all the way to the end of mass,
yeah,
and if it's nonstop, that's a whole different problem.
it's nonstop.
yeah, that's a whole
It's
different
and the
problem.
line when I get up after that hour and 10 minutes,
Mm-hmm.
the line is still like a good 7, 8, 9 people.
How many confessionals do you guys have?
Just the one.
We have 2 technically now. We have 2
Oh yeah.
confessionals.
Where'd
yeah.
you add one?
We added one right next to those. So we
You dug into the wall.
Yeah, we dug into
Oh,
the
nice.
wall. Yep, we opened it
Good.
up, made it.
Oh, there was a okay.
There was a closet
Nice.
there. Yeah. So
The one
Yeah.
at St. George is huge, by the way. I
Yeah,
sat
it's
for
a big-
confessions.
it's bigger than my
there.
apartment.
Yeah. It's like a chapel.
It's amazing.
Some people think that they're being rushed by the priest, like when he doesn't give them advice, talk to them about
So-
their sins.
Father Brian and I are actually, we want to start a podcast too. I don't know if we can
Oh,
say that
nice.
on here.
Do
but
it.
Please,
Do it.
yeah.
we
We
did start
endorse
we did start a podcast. We've been recording.
Wow.
Good.
And the whole podcast is about inner healing. So
Okay.
so everything is about kind of like our own journey of like inner healing that we've been going through with inner healing work and therapy and things like that. And then just kind of giving picking topics and then discussing our own personal experience about how we've healed from different things. So
Where do you guys post it, by the way?
we haven't opened up anything. So we're gonna
Oh,
probably do
okay.
podcast app,
Very
the
nice,
podcast app, and then we're not doing like recording like this. We only have one of those, but for the most part, we just want it to be like for people who are coming to confession, they need guidance, right? So what him and I decided was, instead of trying to have full conversations with people about what are the root of their compulsions, which we really can't do in confession, hey, for your penance, I want you to go listen to this episode. And this episode will be episode whatever, number whatever, and it's about alcohol, porn, whatever it is, right? And we're giving, kind of the teaching of Catholic therapists. We'll take a little bit from, St. John Paul II, Bob Schutz's work, Peter Malinowski, different therapists, different resources. So it's not like it's our resources. We're taking resources from professionals, and we're talking about how those things have helped us. And
that's a good way to handle it.
Yeah, because I'm not going to tell a person who is struggling with, porn and masturbation addiction, like, just, pray it away.
Just stop it.
Just stop it. Just pray an Our Father and a Hail Mary and it'll go away. Clearly, there are emotional charges to compulsive behavior, right? So we're trying to basically give them a platform where we can help them identify what are the roots of these things, right? Because, therapy will tell you that every single compulsive behavior has an emotional charge, has an emotional connection to it. It's not,
so the reason
not arbitrary.
I think there's a wisdom to that format of what you're doing, because confession heals our relationship with God. It forms, it like reconnects us with Him when we fall into sin.
Absolutely.
That's what they're there for in confession. They're there to be forgiven.
Correct.
If they need on top of that some advice on how to, but here's the thing, when I have time, it's whatever. It's like a kind of, I know that mass, there's not that many people that go, whatever.
Yes.
And I'll sit and talk with somebody. I'll tell them, here's the advice. Let's talk about it a little bit. But a lot of times they know that stuff. It's going to take time to break a habit.
Right.
So they're not even there for advice a lot of times. They just want the absolution to get back on their feet and work. And as far as like the roots, a lot of them, like you're saying, there's a kind of, there's a cause within the soul, within the psyche that's causing this. In other cases, it's like human nature.
It's human nature.
Like you
Absolutely.
want sexual desires there. So how do you moderate that?
It's like getting
Practice.
hungry, right?
Yeah.
It's
So
like
you
getting
practice,
hungry.
it's grace. It's
And
whatever.
honestly, it would be irresponsible for a priest to pretend he's a therapist or a psychologist
Absolutely.
or
You
whatever
can't.
and start
You can't.
going down this rabbit hole
No.
of this is why you're like this.
He's a minister of God's mercy, and
Forgiveness.
He gives them
And
that.
We can
the healing
help.
is there.
I think we can help them, guide them on trying to
course.
identify
It's like
what
a
might
baton.
be going
You just
on,
pass
right?
it,
But at the end of the day, like, that's between you and God.
Yeah.
Right? So I can't even 100% say, well, this is happening because of
Yeah,
this.
exactly. Yeah.
Really, at the end of the day, only that person really knows what's going on inside
Yeah.
their soul, if they do, right? If they have that self-awareness, right?
And you don't want to complicate things. Like if it's like a teenager and they're like, Father, I keep having these lustful thoughts. You're like, what? A teenager is having lustful thoughts? I've never heard of that. There must be something wrong with you.
No, if anything, I think we've overly, we overly exaggerate sexual sin, is what I've noticed, and we're overly scandalized by sexual sin. So it's like the worst thing in the world. I mean, a lot of people say, Father, I have lustful thoughts, so I'm confessing my lustful thoughts. I'm like, but did you invite those lustful thoughts
Or
in?
choose
No,
them.
or choose them? No.
That's a
Then it's not
temptation.
sin.
That's
It's
a
just
temptation. Yeah.
right?
Yep.
So
Being
it's like
scrupulous,
there's a shame that comes just by having the thought itself. There's a self-disgust. There's
Yeah.
a self-blame that comes just for having the desire. But one time I heard a really good Catholic therapist say, are you mad at yourself for when your stomach growls and you're hungry for food? I'm like, no, I thought about it to myself.
That's good.
You should
So
be
he
ashamed
said,
of yourself.
you should, right. You got hungry for food, right? So he was like, we as humans, it's a part of the appetite. Sex is a part of the human appetite. So why are we overly scandalized or tripping out by the fact that we have these desires, So
They'll hear the words of Jesus when He says, like, if you look at a woman with lust, you commit adultery with her. And
But that's a
Exactly.
choice.
Heart.
That's
I
what
know,
they're not
that's
getting.
a choice.
they think it's like, oh, she walked by.
A lot of
I
these
looked.
things are manic compulsive thoughts that are coming from trauma or from other things that are going on. It's not just a matter
Or
of
just plain old temptation.
Or just
and in which
temptation.
case you're not
Exactly.
culpable. Jesus himself was tempted, but he didn't
Right.
sin.
Exactly.
So to feel a temptation, to feel
it's normal.
that's it's not even close, not even a venial sin.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
But
Much less a
but
mortal
the
sin.
shame that comes inside of them or inside of us, I should say, is what makes us think that we need to confess, because there's a shame just by having the thought itself.
Right.
Which is why they're coming to confession, right? Because they think somebody told me, like, Father, I feel like I've sinned. Like, well, just because you feel like you sinned does not mean that you actually
That's right.
sinned,
Yeah, that's
right? So, this is where I think we need to do a better job. I feel personally like, we as young priests, we've done a good job of like teaching and informing and all that. But I also think that we've created some monsters.
Yeah.
And it's kind of our fault, right? In a sense, because we're trying to teach them, but we're not really helping them understand completely. So that's why we're getting a line of 70 people, and majority
Which
of
is a
them
good
are scrupulous.
thing.
It's a beautiful thing.
Yeah.
Please come to confession.
Yeah.
I'm
But-
not discouraging, but a lot of those people are just really scrupulous, and they didn't even
yeah.
need to go to confession in the first
It
place.
starts young too, at first
Right.
communion,
Oh, yeah.
catechism.
Exactly.
What are we teaching them there? How
There's a
are they
couple-
being catechized?
There's a
they're
couple
being
glitches. Sometimes kids get into their head, whether from a bad teacher that doesn't know what they're talking about, or their parents are different evident. They think they have to confess every single week.
Yes.
And or every time they receive communion.
Every time
the
they
body
receive
of Christ forgives your sins. This is my body for the forgiveness of sins.
This is the medicine.
So if you don't believe in that, how do you believe that confession forgives your sins? And if you believe that the body of Christ forgives your sins, mortal sins are for confession, but all your venial sins are forgiven by receiving communion. If you don't believe in that, how do you believe in confession? And if you believe in that, then why are you going every week? And they think, so I don't know how this got out. They think that everything that is related to the 10 Commandments is a mortal sin.
Yes.
Yeah.
By definition. What are
Yes.
you talking about?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
I had a thought about my parents that was mean, and I have to go because I'm. What do you?
Yes.
Who invented that?
Right.
Yeah.
Right.
There's no
What
such thing.
constitutes a mortal sin?
I'm not talking about this. We've gone over it a
We've
million
spoken about
times
it
on the
a
show.
lot.
Yeah. You know, I think
Ugh.
I think you're right. Somebody told me, Father, if it's in the 10 Commandments, then it's considered a mortal sin.
It's considered a sin.
It's considered. Yeah. I don't know.
Calm down, dude.
I don't know
It's
where, but I do
it's the
think that's the
gravity.
catechism that was being taught. You know, that we were teaching the kids. I don't know which teachers or whatever, but
Yeah.
Something happened.
My problem is, it's the most hysterical people that are taken the most seriously.
yes.
And when you face hysteria and people that are just absolutely insane, and you tell them, no, it's not like this. Oh, you're just a coward, or you're just this. I wish you would stand up. I wish our priests were like. What are you talking? I'm just telling the
Right,
truth.
right.
And you're just crazy.
yeah.
Like, sorry.
Kids will like, especially the first communion kids.
Yeah.
It's hard to teach them about the 6th commandment. You know, you should not
Right.
commit adultery.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
so, like, I've had a kid say, 8-year-old kid, I committed adultery. And after asking him
You
questions,
cheated on your spouse.
I got to, he said, like, I played a bad video game or something like that, like, so.
But that's why I think we as a church have to do a better job of, like, when we're teaching these kids,
Yeah.
like, just because you have a lustful thought does not mean that you've committed a sin.
I
An
think
8-year-old
it's
doesn't even know
much-
what that is.
Yeah,
Exactly.
and I think it's much deeper than that. By the way,
It's
I think it's much
been a while
deeper.
since I was 8.
I think it's a way we form our teachers and
Yes,
leaders.
exactly.
Because we're
Exactly.
not on the front lines.
No, we're not.
Honestly,
No.
I try my best
What
to
I've noticed
pop
that-
into these classes once in a while, but we entrust it to these, teachers and laymen, and
Yeah, do we have the time to sit there and, like, make sure that everything that they are going to teach is
Not
Yeah.
a big
And
parish.
sound, right?
you
Not
know,
a big
you know what we
sound.
started doing here. So, anyone that applies to become a leader or a teacher at Catechism or First Communion or even at a youth group, we put them through these sessions. It's usually during the summer for a few Saturdays, and at the end, we give them last year's final exam for First Communion. We don't change a word. And we say, "Go ahead,"
And if they don't ace it,
Yeah.
peace
Wow.
out.
Wow.
Yeah. I want to read what
Yeah, I'm sure you have a lot of
what the
questions.
catechisms. No,
Oh.
it's on the same topic
Oh,
because
okay.
you guys mentioned grave matter, because a lot of people think it has to do, like, any breaking of anything that has to do with the 10 commandments is a mortal sin.
Right.
So I just want to read what the catechism says about that, because I did a talk on mortal sin, and so this is kind of fresh in my mind. It says grave matter is specified by the 10 commandments, corresponding to the answer of Jesus to the rich young man: do not kill, do not commit adultery, and then he lists those. The gravity of sins is more or less great. Murder is graver than theft. One must also take into account who is wronged. Violence against parents is in itself graver than violence against a stranger. So it does mention, like, grave matter is specified by the 10 commandments, but I think people might be confused by that and think that every small breaking against any of the 10 commandments is a mortal sin or a grave matter.
Well, that comes from just that paranoia of perfectionism that's within all of us, that OCD, construct inside of all of us, right? Like, we want to get everything right. We want to be perfect. We don't want to make mistakes. So there's this overly, like, paranoia that comes over us that, like, any little thing, any type of weakness, any type of failure, any type of brokenness, we get scandalized and we immediately want to fix. We immediately want to address it, right? To uproot it, to perfect ourselves.
So that's a kind of spiritual pride.
Yeah.
I think there's a lot of people that are, the problem is this: what we're taught sometimes is taught as a corrective or as a medicine. And so a lot of people are way too lax. Oh yeah, whatever. It's probably the majority of people, to be honest with you, majority of just human beings they don't care enough about doing what's right.
Right.
As a corrective to them, no, you got to get them more aware of sin.
Yes.
That medicine is poisonous to the people that are already hyper aware of it.
Yes.
You know what I mean? So it's like, so I have an example of this. There's a priest that I'm really close to that was told, oh, when you're sick, chicken soup and orange juice is good for you. You need the vitamin C and you need the chicken
Yes.
soup. Okay. When you're sick, that's good for you. Every single day for about 20 years, he made sure that at lunch he had chicken soup and a big glass of orange juice, whether he was sick or not. The problem is a big glass of orange juice when you're not sick has a bunch of sugar in it.
Yeah.
It's actually not good for you to
Yeah.
drink a huge thing of orange juice every day.
Yeah.
When you're sick, you need the vitamin. So just because something is medicinal for one state of the soul doesn't mean it's always good for everybody.
Correct.
But the majority of people probably need to hear, you got to take sin more seriously.
Yes.
But that advice is very bad. It's like somebody with diabetes drinking orange juice every day. That could kill you. Do you see the difference?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Someone came up to me and asked, because we mentioned, like, are you a bad Catholic if you don't fast? You know? And we basically said yes.
Sure.
You know?
I think almost everybody's a bad Catholic. I'm a
Yeah,
terrible
exactly. That's
Depends
the
on the
point.
day for
Say
me.
I am
Most
a-
of the time I'm
I
a
would
bad
just-
Catholic. Yeah.
That's the point.
Thank you for making me feel better. For you, it's not just Catholicism, by the way.
I'm just a bad
No, I'm
person.
joking, I'm joking.
I'm just a bad
Yeah,
person in
see,
general. I agree with that.
La la la.
But like who determines who's a bad Catholic?
trolling
That's
me,
the thing.
bro.
you
God?
know?
It's not
God
me.
determines.
Yeah, it's not
Exactly.
me.
God gives us the rules.
So let me see if we can bring some clarity to this issue. So what's a more typical, I'm going to break my fast on Friday. Social pressure, right? Oh, come on, we're all eating whatever, or some kind of physical like addiction, like you're
Like
talking to, like
gluttony or something.
gluttony
you
or
know.
something like that. What else would be a typical one?
Could just be really
You-
a temptation, right?
Yeah.
Could
Just giving
a
into temptation.
Yeah.
So there's like the strength of the passions could be really strong.
Yes, exactly.
Missing mass, either it's a laziness or a sin of omission. You just don't care enough about your faith,
Out of
or
town.
there's a football game
You're out of town. Exactly.
the only thing with I kind of tease people when it comes to out of town. Oh yeah, we weren't here, so we didn't go to mass. And I always ask, like, were you in Saudi Arabia?
Yeah.
Were there no churches?
There's
where
actually
you
a
were?
Catholic
Churches.
church there now.
Now that's not even an excuse.
Right.
No, we're in Vegas. We have a Chaldean church in Vegas.
Right.
Go to mass, dude. Come on.
No, Father Perrin one time literally asked somebody like, did you take an Uber while you were on vacation? Like, yeah, where'd you go?
Yeah.
Oh, we went to like, restaurants so you can check an Uber to go to a Catholic church.
Though
Mass
this
times
is kind of
that
funny canonically, if they're traveling that day,
Yeah.
Yeah.
That day,
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah, that's
We
happened
spoke
a lot.
about that once, I
that's
think.
dispensed automatic dispensation.
What other questions do you have?
What constitutes a mortal sin? I'm not joking.
Please, no.
Okay, so what talents do you possess and how to use them for the glory of God?
Talented guy right here.
Please, Father Patrick.
Painting and sculpture, right? How'd you
That's
get into
really
that?
cool.
Well, how did I get into it? Well, I've been drawing and painting since I was a kid. But I think it really kind of took off. I met another Chaldean Assyrian guy in our area named Rennie. You came
Yeah, I saw his
to the
studio.
studio. He's incredible. Probably one of the best artists in the Detroit area right now. To be honest with you, he's really, really phenomenal. Let alone he's probably one of the best Chaldeans we have. Period. He is, I should say, because he sculpts, he paints. I mean, there's nothing that the guy doesn't do. So I met him, and he just kind of like took me under his wing and really took my art to a whole nother level, which has been really great. So.
I saw the Mary
said-
statue you were working on. That's
Yeah,
nice.
I've been.
How long does it
that
take
has
to do
been-
one of those?
So, well, I've sculpted one other statue before. So this is my first time sculpting a full life statue, like a full body statue, and it's been a lot harder than I thought it was going to be. I have redone her face, I think at least 30 or 40 times now.
Wow.
Yeah, I'm not joking. Because every time I'm realizing, the proportions,
Wow.
like just recently I cut the whole head off, took the head and started moving it in different directions. So now I can see from different directions. Oh, wow, this cheek is higher than this cheek, right? Or I can see like this, this eyelid is higher than this eyelid.
I would be so
I'm
bad at that.
Yeah,
I could not.
I
Well,
would
I mean,
pay
it's all
money
about
to see you
proportions.
attempt that.
I could not
Big
even
money.
try that.
Yeah.
I couldn't even try that.
It's pretty intense
Because I don't have the
So-
hands for it. My hands are not like that, like steady.
And you have to have the wahis for it.
And you have the eyes. You
yeah.
have to notice things.
You
Pay
have to
attention to
notice,
that.
yeah,
It's the last thing I pay attention to.
Yeah. No, that's all I do is like
Yeah.
pay attention to like those tiny little details.
Yeah.
So how often do you do that? Do you sculpt and
I
draw?
sculpt and
so you're a
paint.
full-time priest, obviously,
Yeah.
and have a like amazing, very busy ministry.
Sure. Thank you. I would say maybe 3 to 4 times a week.
Okay.
I go for about 2 hours. It's kind of
Okay.
my break, and then I go back to the office for my appointments and things like that. But
Mm.
I take a break right usually in the middle of the day to go and kind of just
Right.
stress and
What are
do
your
my-
talents?
I don't know. I don't have a lot of talent.
You had the question before.
I mean, I like to play sports.
Yeah.
That's a talent.
Yeah.
No, you're good at basketball, right?
Yeah.
You beat
Yeah,
Father
very good.
Tristan.
I beat Father Tristan.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's good.
We're gonna play one-on-one soon too.
Yeah.
Father Tristan, man. What about you?
I don't have any.
That's not true.
God
Come
has
on,
given
man.
everyone talent.
Yeah.
Come on,
You have
dude.
not discovered them yet.
I've sat through this. No, I'm joking.
Your talent is patience.
I haven't really thought about my talents.
Mm.
My Surat is pretty good.
The talent.
You're
language.
you're a-
language.
You're a great administrator.
That's what I was gonna
right?
say.
Yeah, yeah.
You're a good
thank you, guys.
administrator.
Just
Amazing
gonna say-
administrator.
Baby, thank you.
You're very good at with actually like connecting with people
Yeah.
and talking to them. And
Yes.
having,
Yeah.
I'm very bad at that. I'm okay at administration. If you have a gun to my head, I can get it done, but I don't enjoy
Yeah.
it. Yeah.
But you're a teacher naturally.
I'm a pretty good teacher.
Yeah.
Really good
the
teacher.
The thing that
You're
makes
really
me
good.
Well, go ahead.
No,
Keep
I'm
going. I want you to compliment me more.
No. I've known you since I was a kid, so
Yeah, no.
I have a
taught
lot-
all
I
of
have
us.
a lot
He was
of
a
things-
teacher
I have
for
a lot
all
of
of
good
us.
things
All
to
of
say
us.
about you.
Do you know why people are like, oh, you're like good at teaching? You know, I'm good at teaching because I don't understand things well, and so I have to like really break them down until they're like chicken nuggets for myself,
For
for my
yourself.
own, for myself to understand them.
That's a
And now that
gift.
I've done that, let me just show you how I understand
That's a
it.
gift. It's a
Yeah.
gift that you're able to do that, and that you're able to be able
Chicken
to
nuggets.
Chicken nuggets, dino nuggets, man.
Dino nuggets. Those are bomb.
That's amazing. Okay, so another one that I think is good for Lent time for us to talk about and give some people advice. How do I silence my heart to be able to hear God?
Silence your phone.
Someone asked that. No,
That's
seriously.
that's a good answer.
Yeah.
Genius.
Yeah.
Oh, that's another talent. My one-liners. No, I'm joking.
Oh, this is true though. Actually, you do come up with even in Surath, your
Thank you,
one-liners are even better.
Thank you.
Yeah.
That's a good one though.
Bottom,
Turning off your
bottom.
phone.
Thank you so much.
How else
Yeah.
do you
Yeah.
silence
Do
your
you
heart?
take your phone off? Do you take your phone with you into the chapel? I think is like number one question.
That's
First
one
question.
thing I gave up. For
I
a while.
journal on an app on my phone sometimes in the chapel.
Yes.
You can go airplane mode.
What do you write?
I
Let
could
me
go
see.
airplane mode.
What do you write?
So I got this thing called the
You want to
Remarkable.
see it?
Yeah.
Have you ever seen
yeah.
one of those? A Remarkable? It's amazing. So I don't.
What is it?
It's a Remarkable. It's called the Remarkable.
It's
Oh,
a
is that the
it's
thing?
a
It's
black
Like a
and white
tablet,
tablet.
thing. It's like a black and white
Oh.
tablet. There's no internet. There's no nothing on it. And
Okay.
it's basically like all of your documentation is all on one tablet.
You can use
So-
like
and you
Apple
can-
Notes and stuff
Yep,
like that.
Everything.
Oh, really?
Everything. Yep. And you can use it as a
Sponsor
journal.
us, guys.
get that?
Yes.
Remarkable.
Remarkable. Yeah. It's very, very good. So I actually really enjoy it. But
Link in description.
can I answer the question though?
Please.
I
yeah.
think is
Please, Father Patrick.
I think for me, we have this idea that, when you go into the chapel, all of your thoughts are supposed to shut down and you're supposed to be like blank. You know what I mean? And I think that we have this misunderstanding that every single time we go into prayer, we're supposed to go into some type of ecstasy, right? But prayer, by its very definition, should be dialogue and intimacy with God. So if I'm talking to you right now, my head is not blank. I'm thinking about things. There are things in my mind that I'm thinking about, right? So my thoughts are not an obstacle to my conversation with God, which is prayer, right? So to me, I think we need to teach people a better job of how to integrate your thoughts with your prayer, because your thoughts they are telling you something about your heart, right? So if I'm having thoughts about something and I can't really stop those thoughts, okay, then that means that more than likely that's something that I could bring to the Lord, that I should be talking about with the Lord. If it's not letting me have rest and peace, then instead of looking at it as a distraction and looking at it as like, well, I really just need to suppress this thought and I need to erase it and just like get rid of it. No, maybe it's something that even though I might not think is relevant to my prayer life, it's not something that's like outside of God's scope, right? Like if it bothers me, then I can bring it to God. It's something very simple. Like, oh, I got to leave here and I still got to do all of these things, right?
Yeah.
And all I'm thinking about is I got to stop at Costco. Then I got to put gas. Then I got to do this. Then I got to do that. Even if something as arbitrary as that, what's at the root of that? Well, I'm overwhelmed. God, guess what? I'm really overwhelmed right now. Boom, you already began to pray.
Yep.
Yeah.
You began to pray because you just were honest with yourself. You connected with yourself. Now you're able to connect with God. But what we're doing is we're trying to connect with God on his level, but we're not letting God really come down to my level, right? Like I'm trying to reach God in the heavens with these deep, lofty ideas, right? But sometimes God just wants to meet me where I'm at, and he wants to just let me be human in that moment and bring my humanity to him, right? Which is that integration rather than...
I think the
I don't know.
stress
I mean-
for no, I like what you said. I think the stress for many years in the church, maybe centuries in the church, a good stress, a correct stress on vocal prayer,
Yeah.
like reciting prayer, like the rosary or the liturgy of the hours, or whatever.
Right.
All these are fantastic. I do all of them every day.
Sure.
I do rosary, I do the liturgy of the hours, I do all these things.
Yes.
All that's great. That's a good thing to stress because they can form the soul. But when people think that that's all that prayer is, and they go in and they're distracted and like, oh, I wasn't thinking about the words of the Hail Mary. I got to start that Hail Mary over. No. In fact, one of the forms of prayer that I really like is I'll go in to the chapel and I'll pray my rosary, but I won't be anxious or worry about my focus on the words. If I get distracted, kind of like what you're saying, okay, that's something that's in my heart. I'm going to put that into my prayer.
Exactly.
And, you know, I'll pray for, if it's like I'm concerned about somebody, okay, I'll offer this Hail Mary for that person.
Correct.
If it's I'm worried about this work I'm going to do, okay, let me pray that this becomes, this is whatever, successful or is accomplished or whatever. And just, it's a both and. It's not like,
Yeah.
I used to get really frustrated when I was a little kid and I'd be praying and I wasn't able to like pay attention to the words of the Our Father or whatever that I'm saying.
Yeah.
And I would get mad at myself, and now I'm even more distracted.
Right.
And I'm like, I'm such a stupid loser. I'm so stupid, whatever.
And I don't know
just,
how to pray. And
like, God, and I'm just an unredeemable sinner.
Habibi, man.
And you get worse and worse and worse, and you go down this
Rabbit hole.
spiral.
Yeah,
And you just
spiraling.
don't pray.
And then
and
you
then
just
you
hate,
stop
then
praying.
you
Yeah.
hate praying.
But this doesn't just happen as a kid. This happens to adults,
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Like one of my programs is actually going to be for Lent. One of my programs, the topics is going to be meditation and prayer, like how to do personal meditation outside of, liturgical vocal prayer, how to actually do that. Like what are some, methods or, basic little guidelines that can help you so that when you're in the chapel, you don't feel like you're just like in the middle of the desert. You don't know what to do. You don't know, you know what I mean? Or you're, you feel like you're drowning with all these thoughts. Like, okay, what do I do with all this? How do I settle my heart?
Honestly, when that happens with me, I walk in there and say, "This is all I got."
Yep.
So,
That's what I offer.
yeah.
I offer you my
This is-
my racing thoughts. I'm gonna offer
yeah.
it to you. Yeah.
I'm a mess right now, and here you
Right.
go.
Exactly.
Sometimes people will get discouraged by reading the amazing, beautiful writings of the saints and their prayers as well.
Yes.
And they think like that's
what
how
you have to be
pray,
producing.
you
Yeah,
know?
that's what
But
you have
when
to
in
be
reality,
producing,
like
yeah.
how did the saints get to that point?
Exactly.
Is that they brought their thoughts to Jesus and they just allowed him to
And
come in their hearts.
when it comes to those writings, those are writings that a saint wrote to be read by somebody.
Yes.
So that's great.
Yes.
But if you think that when you talk to God, you have to be writing an essay,
Right.
yeah, right.
Or you're
right.
performing a beautiful
performance, yeah.
dissertation, right?
no,
You're-
it's two friends talking to each other. It's you talking to your father.
Exactly.
I've called you friends.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Something that I do, honestly, it's been helping me is like when I'm finding myself anxious in the chapel, because usually you're coming from going at 100 miles per hour, and now you're trying to stop the car at 0,
yeah.
right? It's hard to do that. So sometimes what I do is I literally will practice just stilling my whole body to calm myself down. I'll just
Breathing.
try to breathe, like put my feet to the ground, put my hands on my on my knees. And I'll just breathe and I'll just try to not move at all. And then everything that's like all the chaos that's happening inside of me, sometimes, like I say, it works every time. Sometimes it's just like I'm finally able to just be still.
That
And that
would be-
stillness is really helpful.
That would be impossible for me. No way.
Well,
This-
I did a
this-
30-day silent retreat.
Oh, you got
so I
yours?
had no choice. I had
30
no choice.
days?
30 day. Yeah. We had no choice but to learn how to deal with the silence. Yeah.
By the way, Father Inkito usually sits there,
Okay.
and he doesn't stop doing this with
Yeah,
his knee.
he jumps in.
Oh.
We
Look
pay
at every
attention to previous
episode.
episodes.
So
But
look
that's
at
what
the
I'm saying.
opposite
With his
between
toes,
them
right?
two.
Yeah, like
But that's what I'm saying is like it is hard to do that, but
Yeah.
it's like a type of training that once your body you can finally get your body to a complete stillness where you don't move, I'm telling you, it feels euphoric actually.
There's another method
it
that
really
I
does.
I'm sure.
One of the things that has been consistently beneficial to me is when I have all the racing thoughts and the intensity or whatever, I will either in preparing for a homily or just in my daily reading of that day, I'll open like the Gospels, for example, and I'll just read and I'll find something really puzzling, and it just draws my focus in. Like, wait, why did Jesus say it that way? That's a weird way to say it. Why did he treat this person this way? And now I'm no longer thinking about myself. I'm thinking about Jesus.
Yes.
And that's what meditative prayer is.
Exactly.
I'm thinking about trying to figure out. That's Lectio Divina.
Exactly.
You don't have to do like, oh, I got to do this first. No, if you're absorbed into a scripture passage, that's it. You're doing it.
Can I say something else though? I think the next step that I feel like, at least I've been trying to work with my directees and people that have been coming to me is like, okay, I love that you're deeply thinking about this scripture verse. You're considering why did Jesus say it this way and what does he mean and all of these things. But then the next question that I don't think a lot of people go to is, okay, but what does this say to me, right? Considering what I'm going through, considering my story, the context of which I'm reading this in. Okay, how does this relate to me? What is God actually trying to communicate to me today? Because they ask God's voice, right? Well, God's voice is not going to come in the sound of like, Luke, I am your father. You know what I mean? Like, I think that's what we think, God's voice is supposed to sound like. But, sometimes God's voice is actually within the context of your own voice. And you think that you're just self-talking, but sometimes that thought or that voice that's in your head is actually God talking to you, and you're not really listening, and you're thinking that you're just trying to convince yourself of this, right? But I have had thoughts in my head that I thought I was saying to myself, and then moments later will get confirmed by a text message, or somebody will say something to me, or I'll read something in my reading or my Bible that's like the exact same thought that I just finished.
That happened to me one time. You know what that happened? I was in the chapel and I was praying, and I just something put in God. I think in retrospect, God put in my heart to text Father Danny, "Don't trim your beard." Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere. Out of nowhere.
Funny.
We've talked about this on the show. And then that moment, he had the clipper in his hand.
You're joking.
I
See?
promise.
Could you see?
I was ready. But it was on the right number I wanted.
But why
You
is
were
that
gonna
so
make it like
shocking to us,
his
right?
beard?
Like,
And I'm looking, and I said, no, there's no way. Yeah, it was going to look like that. Or more like a 5 o'clock
this is
shadow,
a bad
whatever.
thing, right? I'm guessing this is a bad
No,
thing.
it's okay.
No,
You guys
no,
look
I
great
wanted
with
that. I
You look-
wanted
he-
that.
He just looks
Yeah.
better. He just looks better with a short beard.
Okay.
Yeah.
One
Anyway,
time,
that was crazy.
one time I was sitting in the chapel. I was.
I like how God cares about your beard.
He does, right?
God
he cares
no,
about
he
like the
doesn't.
smallest
I'm
thing.
sorry,
Thank
I don't
you,
think so.
Lord.
Yes, he
Thank
does.
I don't
you,
think
Lord.
so.
Yes,
I think
he
there's a
does.
lot. No,
There's a case to be
does.
made.
I will.
We have different versions.
Jesus had a beard.
Yes, he did.
Okay.
I'm not talking about beards. I'm saying
Oh.
I don't think God cares what color car you get.
No.
Thank you. So there is stuff
Yeah,
that
yeah.
like don't
No,
make everything
but-
about.
But
I
beard is
do
different.
think-
Beard is different.
But I do think that, like, as a parent, like, you don't really care about, what color your kid chooses, but like, it makes you happy that blue made your kid
yes,
happy, right?
but people
Yeah.
will be like, I need to discern
What
La
God's
color
gonna
palabra
look-
chocolate.
Thank you. Okay.
Come
Okay,
on,
that's
I
what I'm
think
saying.
I was
too
going to say
far.
something really funny, but
Like I have to go and I have to do a novena.
Remind
I
me
gotta
to
know
say
what
it.
color car. What is it?
Remind me to say something funny after
Right.
this ends.
Can we say it now?
No.
Put up in the paid content.
No. Yeah, paid
content.
content.
Yeah.
It's for paid content.
We'll say no when we start eating. Oh,
What are
by
the
the
other-
way, we're gonna start eating.
What are one more question.
Okay, one more question.
Pick a good one.
Why don't you pick, please? Scroll that way.
Okay.
There's a lot, so
Oh, Patrick's popular. We don't get it usually this much. All right, we should do this every week. Ask for questions.
yeah, that's a good idea. Actually,
Post on the.
Wait. Okay.
Uh-oh.
I'm a Chaldean from Canada. Hello.
Oh, nice.
Welcome.
Hello.
What do you think of the U.S. versus Canada quote unquote war right now? I didn't know
Is
we're
it a
in
hockey
war.
game or something?
I didn't know we're in war with
What war?
Canada. We're not in war.
we're not
Oh,
in
maybe the
war.
tariff war.
No, maybe
The
Trump trying to
Yeah.
Oh,
make
the
Trump.
51st state.
Yeah.
51st state
Or
type
that.
of thing.
Yeah.
I think it's a
And
bit. It's a
There was
joke.
a-
It's a
there
joke.
was a
There's
funny
no way it's
tweet.
real. There's no way.
By the way,
All
whatever.
right, next question, please.
Yeah. Go ahead.
مضيعة وقت عند
Bro, there's 1,000 questions.
I know.
Really? Okay.
Okay. Church etiquette.
Uh-huh.
Exclamation point.
Okay.
Bowing head. Why/when we kneel. What to do right after
Oh, that's a
receiving
good
the
one.
Eucharist.
That's a good one.
Okay. Can I
That's
do that
that's a
one?
very good one.
Please, Father.
Okay.
Yes.
I want to see the
For a
question.
bishop.
Go ahead.
Okay. Etiquette when you walk into the church.
You could-
before before you sit in the pew, genuflect, which is one knee to the ground. If you can do it, if you're
When you walk into the
when
church,
you walk into the church, before you go into your pew, kneel before the Eucharist, like facing the Eucharist, and then go sit down.
is bowing okay?
If your knees are messed up, bowing is fine. Even if whatever you have other issues, bowing is okay, especially in the Eastern churches. It's sort of part of our tradition is to bow. I think genuflecting is better. If you're in adoration and the Qurbana is exposed, the actual really nice proper way to do it is you get on both knees and you bow your head down. That's really nice. If you want to just genuflect, then I guess it's okay, but like that's the most proper way to do it. When you receive the Eucharist, like when you're second in line, bow, you receive the Eucharist, and that's it. You don't bow again. And you don't genuflect again. Why? Because what the one you're genuflecting to is in you now.
inside of you.
He's here
Exactly.
So sometimes people don't think about that.
Or they
They'll
go
like,
up to the statue and they'll kiss the statue and they'll keep
Yeah, yeah.
Qurbana in your mouth.
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
hello. Doesn't get better than that. You know?
as far as etiquette, that's what I would. And then
Yeah.
you sort of you stand and kneel during mass when everyone's supposed to do that.
So they don't need to bow and do the sign of the cross or genuflect after they receive communion. They can just walk away.
You really shouldn't. It would actually
Yeah.
be because whoever it is you're kneeling to, which is the Son of God,
He's here.
he's in you. He's in
Yeah.
your heart right now.
Yeah.
So that's what you sort of internally genuflect. Beforehand, you give the bow or whatever.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So why don't we save a couple more for the food
Sure.
session?
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good.
All right.
There's
We're
food
gonna eat
here?
right now.
Okay.
Yep.
You got sushi from where?
Taboo
Taboo.
What did they do? Look at that.
and Rancho. They did this really, really cute thing. Shout out to Renee and the whole team that made us these beautiful strawberries. Feeding Fathers
It's cool.
That's
says.
That's so cool.
So, last week we had a little controversy about whether or not to have food on the show during Lent.
How'd that vote go, by the way?
The vote was what I expected. I thought the people wanted us to keep eating on the show. And that's what they voted for.
Okay, there you go.
And
I'm
so,
happy.
we decided to
What
go
are you
with
supposed to do when
Soma
you
style food.
What are you supposed to do when you gave up sweets for Lent? And
You
they put
put-
that in
no.
front of you.
You eat what is set before you.
Mm.
St. Paul says.
Was it true?
Unless it's a Friday during Lent, in which case you would commit the gravest mortal sin and go to hell for all
goodness.
eternity.
Oh my goodness! Because you ate meat.
Yeah.
Okay. All right.
I would just yell at the family that. did
Or
it.
M&Ms. What did you say, M&Ms?
What was that other question you said?
Burnout?
Burnout.
There was another one written down. Well, what'd they say?
What do priests do when they
What
burn
do
out?
priests do when they feel overwhelmed, overtired, and burned out?
You
How
know
do
why-
how do you get your passion going again?
You know why I like that question? Because they're understanding that we actually do a lot of
Burnout.
work.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Whereas a lot of people are like, hey, I'm not going to
Yeah.
okay.
One time, the funeral directors actually called me and said, Buna, this family really wanted you for this funeral, and I couldn't do it. So they said the funeral director told me that the family told them like they're sitting and praying all day long.
I wish that was the case.
I was like, dude, I wish I was praying the rosary all day long or just sitting and praying all day long. Like, wouldn't that be a dream to just
Yep.
Yeah, so I don't know.
So, yeah,
I
what
mean,
do you
I think
do?
what do I do? I go on vacation, to be honest with you. I'm not gonna lie. I just leave town. Find time to just like do personal prayer. Have time to be with friends that give me life, people that give me
Yeah,
life,
yeah.
people that,
That's a
that
big
feed
one.
me, right? Like close people, not like of course we spend a lot, I think as priests, we spend a lot of time with people, but I'm talking about the people that I can totally be myself with
Yeah.
and feel completely
Yeah.
myself with, and that's very nourishing for me
Yeah.
at least. Yeah. I don't know. Yeah, for me it's
What do you guys
just
do?
getting out, right?
I don't know. It depends because there's like levels to burnout.
Right.
Usually when I see it coming,
Mm.
I'll do something like go on a hike,
Yeah.
go
That's a
for a
good
quick
one.
walk.
Yeah.
Because
Because there's a daily burnout, right? There's a daily burnout,
yeah. So,
and then there's like a vocational like
yeah.
burnout. Like,
Houston, we have a problem.
Yeah.
exactly.
I mean,
That's funny. Right.
I don't know.
we were
It's just
talking
for
about
me.
like,
No, you're
adoration.
right.
Holy hour every day, making sure you do that.
Yeah, that's
and you can
huge for me.
Release whatever tension you feel
Right.
and whatever's in
Exactly.
your heart, you bring that to Christ
You
every
work through
day.
it. Yeah, you work
So
through
that's
it.
going to help.
Yep.
But you also have to balance your life.
Mhm.
You can't like honestly, one of the things that I found very hard,
Mhm.
especially in the beginning, and I'm getting better at it.
Yeah.
Was I always felt bad saying no to people,
Yeah.
But then I realized the importance of it sometimes, that you literally cannot say yes to everybody,
you cannot. No.
and you accept the fact that you're not Jesus.
Right.
You're trying to lead people to Jesus.
Right.
You're not
Right.
Jesus. You're a limited human being. Yes, you are a priest, but you can only do your best. You have to actually care for yourself.
Right.
And it's not selfish to do that.
No.
It's
And God's going to
actually
provide
smart.
somehow for that person. If
Exactly,
if you're not
yeah.
able to be there, I really believe that God will provide somehow, you
Yeah.
know? So personal prayer is a big one though.
Mhm.
Like, I think that daily time to just be alone with God is huge.
Mhm. Yeah.
I think that's my only, I always say like my only goal for the day is to make it to the chapel. Everything else is a plus.
Mhm.
Yeah.
If I can just, even if, whatever it is, like if I show up, then to me, the rest of my day is a blessing.
Yeah.
It's just extra. But
Anybody want to try one of these strawberries?
Dig in.
Yeah, I'm good.
Eat
They
what is
made
set
a-
before you.
yeah,
I'm not
if
a
I
chocolate
want,
kinda guy.
I mean, do I want to try
Yes.
what they made? Yes. Should I try?
Yes.
Yes.
Okay.
Yes.
So even if I gave up chocolate for Lent,
Could you?
Yes.
Well, no, this is actually a good example for people,
it is. It's true.
Just be chill,
Exactly.
Like they
Discern things. It's
Yeah.
not like that black and white where you like, it's, you know what I mean? When people look at it so technically.
Which letter do you want?
fathers. Oh,
I'm going to do S for Simon.
Wow.
You know what I'm saying?
that's cool.
Yeah.
Remember for about
Do
5
R
minutes.
for Robbie.
Okay. Yeah,
You know, for
heavy
about five.
R.
Remember for about 5 minutes we were thinking about
I like
changing your
the-
name to Peter.
Yeah,
Became a priest.
yeah.
You know what?
No, bro, you know what I actually thought of?
Kepa.
You don't remember?
Kepa.
Father Kepa.
Kepa. That was crazy.
That's cute.
Actually,
Andrew's
Andrew-
laughing, by the way.
Guys,
Andrew,
we're-
actually.
Guys, we're about to scandalize like every Catholic
Yeah.
right now because they're watching the priest who gave up chocolate eat chocolate
No, but we explained.
Okay, but-
we
Out of
explained
Yeah,
humility.
out of
set
humility.
what is
Eat what is set
eat
before
what is
you.
set before
I know,
you.
but
Set what is eat before you.
bro, I'm not gonna start
You
again.
don't have to. But like, so if you don't, that's great. You're keeping your fast. If you do, it's out of humility and community with others.
Like,
This
yeah,
is true. Yeah.
Renee
and
texted
you're
me.
not wrong either way.
Renee texted me a picture of this, and she said, we made this for you guys,
Hey.
and I did give up sweets, honestly.
Yeah.
But
See?
I mean, she
Yeah,
like
that's something
what-
that
somebody
what I'm
put the
saying?
work into it.
Thank
Yeah,
you, Renee.
exactly.
I'm gonna have one of
Thank
these.
you.
I'm gonna enjoy
Thank
it.
you.
But you were planning this, bro. This was like
I didn't know she was gonna bring dessert, bro. I did not know. You know what I'm saying?
Wow.
Even though they do have an amazing fried banana at Taboo.
Oh.
Amazing. With some ice cream. It's very good.
Maybe they should bring that to me. So out of charity, I have to eat it.
There you go.
Yeah.
So
Right.
I hope somebody's watching this. They can bring that to me.
You like sweets? Come on.
No, like every day. I'm an everyday sweets. Like it's
Chocolate?
got to be it's got to be a part of my day.
Have you had Mexican
too,
candy
bro.
here?
Me, I don't know.
Have you had churro?
I'm not a big fan, bro.
You're not a fan of churros?
Mexican candy.
What's wrong with
But churros, it's like too spicy, man.
you? You
I
didn't,
don't
But
like
churros are amazing.
you didn't
Uh-huh.
grow up in El Cajon.
By the way, guys, this is hilarious.
I know, I was a Rancho boy. Now I'm an El Cajon boy, and you're a Rancho boy.
Listen,
What did I
Anyways,
do to myself?
Taco Bell,
What did I
Taco
do?
Bell just came out with a birthday cake churro.
Really?
Guys, I'm not joking.
Listen,
This is
man.
unreal. I'm not joking.
Whoa.
I'm not. I'm being dead serious. Incredible.
I like Taco Bell.
I do too. I really do.
I got you covered like a lahefa. Don't worry.
Birthday cake churro, man.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. It's
You know
got
what I
like
don't
a
like? I'm not a fan of Chipotle.
Yeah, me either.
I like Taco Bell.
yeah.
I
Me
mean,
too.
okay, but how do you feel after?
After Taco Bell?
No, versus
Like $1 million bucks.
versus Chipotle.
Mm-hmm.
Really?
No.
Oh,
I
they're Indian.
disagree.
If you eat Taco Bell,
It's the only one that doesn't bother me.
Taco Bell doesn't?
Taco Bell?
There's not. Mm-mm.
More than Chipotle?
Taco Bell does not bother you?
No. If I eat Burger King or McDonald's or Wendy's or any one of these other ones, it
Really?
hurts my stomach.
Taco Bell CEO, if you're listening to this, we found the 1 in a billion.
No, it doesn't bother me either.
2 in a billion. 2 in a billion.
I take that back.
Is there something in common? You know,
Yeah.
St.
Michigan
Joseph's
stomach,
Priest,
Michigan
Michigan.
Andrews.
You know
Is
why?
that my
Because,
plate?
Yeah, it was Red Fall.
Sorry.
because
Thank
St.
you,
Joseph's was right next to White Castle, so we have strong stomachs.
Yeah.
Dude,
Still?
because of you, one time I had White Castle, and I think we were together
Yeah.
right before our flight,
Oh, that was a mistake.
and I had a lot of it.
Even I'll tell you.
And
that
it
a
was
mistake.
the craziest flight of my life, bro. Like what it did to my stomach. Wow.
What did it do?
It
Could you give us more
it
detail?
tasted very good. No,
Guys, we're eating, man.
no more detail.
And you want more detail?
Sarcasm.
Go ahead, menu.
Father Patrick, thank
Yes,
you
sir.
so much for joining us, man.
Oh, this is great. Thank you, guys.
We love you.
I
Anytime
love you
you're in
guys.
town,
Love you, man.
anytime
you,
any
guys.
Michigan priest is in town, we'd love to have him here on the show. You're the second
Absolutely.
one.
Well,
Father Perrin was first.
I don't think people know how close we are, though.
I know,
Like, I don't
yeah.
think they know
just
that we
do.
actually have relationships
Yeah, big
outside
time.
of things like this. You know what
Yeah.
I mean? So it's good for people to see that.
We won't record the conversation we have at the seminary when you come on Thursday,
Okay.
but it'll be fun.
Why not?
No, just because we're gonna be chilling. We are chilling now, though.
We're chill
but
guys.
We're just
we
chill
doing?
guys.
We're chilling with cameras. So.
Love you, man.
Love you guys. Thank you
Thank
for
you,
having
brother.
me.
Thank you.
Truly, it's a blessing.
Peace out, everybody. Have a great rest of your Lent.
Yo, bye.
God bless.